Good afternoon, and welcome to Storytime with Megan. I'll be here live every Monday at 3:30 to share a story with you in your after-school time. I hope you enjoyed today's story. It's our very first one. We'll be sharing the story of our Unitarian Universalist principles. There are 7 of them, and you may have heard of them. Today we're going to talk about what they are and what they mean. Our stories are going to be a little bit different than other story times you may have gone to. Maybe you've been to the library for a story time, or your teacher has told you a story at school. And usually there's a book with pictures, and the teacher shares some words with you. Our story today will be a little bit different because you'll be hearing my words, but instead of pictures, you'll see me place items on an underlay. There'll be pieces and pictures that relate to our story. Once the story is done, I will share some wondering questions with you. These questions are just things for you to think about. Maybe talk to your grown-up at home about them, or you could think about them to yourself, or maybe even share them with your favorite stuffy or your favorite pet. So let's go ahead and get started. Today, our story is called Promises. So all of us people, we are the circle of our community. And this is the rainbow path of our Unitarian Universalist community, the way in which we try to live our lives. This here, right here, this is the spirit of love and justice and truth, the spirit of mystery that some people call God. We use the color gold for the mystery. You know, sometimes it can be hard to be in community. One person might do something that another person doesn't like. They might think that someone is being unfair. So in our Unitarian Universalist community, we make promises to each other about how we are going to treat each other so that we all get along and do what's right. These are called our principles. Our first one is our red principle. Red stands for respect all people. And here you'll see a red triangle to represent that red promise. You know, respecting people is respecting their gifts. You are a gift just by being you. So I'm putting a red gift right here with our red promise. We don't know all the wonderful things about each other until we learn about each other and find them out. We are all precious to each other, so we treat each other as a little part of the mystery. Our second promise is orange. That stands for offer fair and kind treatment. And this heart reminds us to be kind to all people. Our third promise is yellow. Yellow stands for yearn to accept and learn about ourselves, others, and the mystery. By thinking about ourselves and other people and learning and celebrating our differences, we are reminded by this flame that we are all connected to the mystery, and that some people might call that mystery God. Our fourth promise is green, and that stands for grow by exploring what is true and right in life. Here is my green triangle. In our story, growing is represented by this flower. You know, sometimes it's hard to decide what's right and true. The flower reminds us that we grow by exploring answers to our questions. We may find different answers to the same question. We might find questions that have no answers, but we keep on asking. Next is our blue promise. The blue promise is believe in our ideas and act on them. This little bell here reminds us to think about that little voice inside of you, that little voice that tells you what's right and true. The bell reminds us that when we have an idea we believe in, we should act on it. Our next promise is our indigo promise. That stands for insist on a fair and peaceful world. You know, we try to do what's right, and we want all people to have freedom and justice in their lives. Justice means being fair to everyone, and peace means living in harmony. We have a dove to remind us of peace. And our seventh and last promise is violet, which is kind of like purple. And that stands for value our home, the earth that we share with all living things. We value each living being as a gift, just like we do people. And this globe helps us to remember to value the earth. So we have 7 rainbow promises that help us to live as Unitarian Universalists. Red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, and violet. These 7 promises help us to be together in community. They remind us that we are all connected to each other and to the spirit of love and to the spirit of mystery. I hope you liked that story. I wonder if you have ever heard of our 7 principles. Maybe you've seen some signs here at church. Maybe you learned a song about them in junior choir, or maybe you've heard your grown-ups or your siblings talk about them. And principle is kind of a big and fancy word, but sometimes we just use the word promise because we know what promises are, right? A promise is something that you make where you're saying what you're going to do and then you go ahead and do it, right? And I wonder, have you ever made a promise? What kind of promises have you made? Is it hard to keep your promise? I wonder, of our rainbow promises, red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, and violet, I wonder which one you liked the best. I wonder why you liked it the best. And lastly, I wonder, what does it feel like to be on our rainbow path, Unitarian Universalist? What does it feel like to make these promises and then to keep them to each other? Thank you so much for joining me today. I look forward to seeing you next Monday at 3:30, where we will share yet another story. Have a wonderful day.